Hi, welcome to this week's Workout Wednesday solution video. This is week 20 of the year 2023, and we're creating this bathymetry heat map. Not a real name for it, but that's what we called it for this solution. So let's just jump in. We're going to recreate this. You can kind of see how quickly it might come together here for us. So sheet 2, I'm going to go find subcategory. I'm going to bring it out on rows. I'm going to find order date. I'm going to bring that out on columns and change this to a month. And then I'm going to fit the entire view to make it look nice. You see we have a blank here. We'll solve this in a second. For the sake of this, I think I'm going to use a bar chart. We'll just see what happens. On rows, I'm going to just double click. You can do this as a separate calculation, but you don't really need to save it. I'm typing 0.0, and I'm changing this to a dimension. And then up here, I'm going to type, well, we're going to fill in the blanks here in a second. For now, I'm just going to type min 1.0, and that's going to make a length of bars that are 1, as you'll see here. Let's just fill in this blank, but first let's get some values to show up inside of these bars. So now I'm just going to go and create a new calculation for what you needed to create. So it's sort of this running total of a percent, running total of a percent of total. So it's going to look a little bit like this. Running sum of the sum of sales. And we're going to divide that by the window sum of the sum of sales. And that's going to be our set of values here. So I'm going to just call this percent of total. Hitting OK. It already exists because I forgot to switch out the data source. But let's just go grab that percent of total calculation. I'll just prove it to you. There it is. Looks the exact same, just in a single line. I'm going to bring this out on label. So now you'll see labels, but my values are going in the wrong direction. They're going down. So I'm going to edit my table calculation and change it to be for every subcategory, basically going across, give me this running total, and all the top values will be 100%, as we'll see here. Let's take our bar chart, and we're just going to set the max value here, or the range, to go between 0 and like 1. So just setting that value. Let's see if those labels stay in there. Oh yeah, that's super nice. I still have a blank. That we'll fix in a second. I could try doing that, by the way. You'll need to enable this, but you can choose show missing values. So I'm just going to select show missing values. It hasn't been solved quite yet. Up here now, though, I'm going to change this calculation so we can kind of solve that problem. I'm going to change it from min 1.0. I'm going to wrap this in the lookup function. So lookup min 1.0, and I'm going to look up 0. So it's going to look at itself. And the last piece I'm going to put in here is zn. So if it's null, return a 0. And you'll now notice I've got this value showing up at 3. But the problem is we don't want it to be 0. If it's null, we want it to be 1. So we're just going to edit this calculation again. And now we're going to say if null, we're going to keep that calculation. Now we're just going to put 1 in there. When we put 1 in there, it fills out the bar. Great. We're rolling on this visualization. It's sort of coming together. It's a little bit piecemeal. The next thing we're just going to try is we're just going to type in min 1.0 here, and we're going to place that on size. And then we're going to do a couple things. We're going to edit the size. We're going to change it to fixed. We're going to keep it left aligned, and then we're going to edit this axis. Let's go in here, right click, edit axis. And you already see it sort of set itself to 0 to 1.05. We're just going to fix it to 0 to 1. And just like that, we have it filled in, except guess what? This one value, once again, kind of being a pest for us, doesn't show up unless we get it right. So we need that value to be 1. We already have this calculation up here. So I'm just going to copy that, put it back in here, paste, boom. That has now filled in my heat map. So now I have this grid of heated values showing up. I notice these grid lines. Let's just get rid of those right away. I'm just going to right click. I'm going to format. I'm going to go to those grid the dividers. I'm going to remove dividers. And I'm also going to go over here and get rid of my grid lines, my 0 lines, just getting rid of all the lines because we really don't need them. Just confirming, great, they're all gone. But we look at it, still got some lines showing up on there. That's because they're under color and the border needs to be set to none. Once we get rid of that, now it's looking somewhat like the part. We've got our percent of total calculation. Now we need to calculate the color of this. And the color was given to us, and I already have that saved. So let's go find it. The color, by the way, if we just right click, is just that percent of total times 50 and then rounded. And this actually gives me 6 groups in case you're wondering. So I'm just going to add this to color, and you'll see now my color is showing up just like the visualization. The last part is we basically need to add in the horizontal and the vertical dividers. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to create a new calculation, and we're going to just type and use color as the centric piece, because basically you need to just look over, and if the colors are different, then we need a line to show up between them. So I'm just going to type if color, and then I'm going to say is not equal to lookup. So if the color is not equal to that one value, then I'm going to say look that one value over, make it -1. Then let's return a value of 1. And then I'm just going to type end. And this is going to be my horizontal lines. So now we have horizontal created. Let's go find this. I'm going to take horizontal, drag that out here. And now I'm going to just take a look at this calculation. I'm going to do edit my table calculation. For my percent of total, those should be going across as they are. And then for my horizontal lines, remember these are going to be the horizontal dividers at each of these parts. And so I have this set. I'm just going to set this as specific dimensions, but I do need this running down for the horizontal component. So now that I have that set, I can right click. I'm going to add a reference line. I'm going to say per cell. Let's have that be this horizontal line. We're going to take out the computation. We're going to turn off the tooltip. We're going to set a line. We're going to make it big, white, and make it stand out. And now you can actually see those horizontal lines showing up real well. I'm also just removing this recalculated line. I really don't need that. But you'll see coming in just as anticipated. So we've got those lines. The next is the vertical line. So let's just type vertical. Once again, we need to find the difference, basically where the color changes. So for vertical, we're just going to basically type the same thing with one subtle change. So we're going to say if the color is not equal to the lookup of color, and this time instead of -1, I'm just going to put 1. So it's going to look forward instead of back in this case. Honestly, they can work both ways. You just have to change your end value out of it. Then 1 end. So now we got our vertical value. And now I'll take this calculation, add it to detail. I need to edit this table calculation. If you remember before, percent of total goes across. The horizontal went down. We actually need vertical to also go across here. So now we have 2 acrosses occurring. That's just how we want it to look. Now I can just right click, add a reference line. And I know I did this fast before, so I'll do this one a little bit slower. But per cell, we're going to use this vertical line. We're going to remove the labels and the tooltips, get rid of that recalculation, and then we're going to go add a line, make it as thick as possible, set it to white, and up the opacity, or sorry, now that, yeah, the opacity to 100%. Once we have that, we've got all of our values showing up. I can right click, uncheck show header, right click, uncheck show header. And then if I want to get rid of this order date and maybe this subcategory, I can get rid of that. And we're more or less now at the intended output of this Workout Wednesday. So overall, yeah, this one involves a few different techniques, but really you have to just create a rectangle or a square and then create some reference lines around the outside. And then you have the heat map with borders, or a bathymetry heat map as I'm calling it. Anyway, thank you for tuning in for this video.